Hey there everyone, this is Michael Dougal. I review supplements related to cognition, and in this video I'm going to share the top 10 supplements for increasing intelligence. And what that means is supplements that can actually help you in different areas of cognition, such as better thinking, better memory, a faster learning speed, and ability to execute. And I've spent over 10 years trying different supplements to give me that cognitive edge, and that helped me to understand what works, what doesn't work. So I'm not only going to share what's worked with me anecdotally, but I'm also going to share some of the supplements that have really good research backing them. And these are in no particular order, but I'm going to talk about what the supplement is, how to take it, and some of the side effects that are associated with it. The first is Bacopa monnieri. This is actually a herbal supplement that's been used for centuries across different areas of Asia as well as Europe, and individuals use it to specifically to help them better fight off stress. And there are a number of studies showing just how effective it is related to cognition and improvements in working memory, short-term memory, recall, levels of anxiety, and most importantly, the ability to tolerate stress. I noticed that when I'm using Bacopa monnieri for a couple weeks straight, I'm able to tolerate a lot more stress, and stressors don't typically have the same physiological and mental impact. A good place to start with Bacopa monnieri is taking 300 milligrams once per day. Some individuals would go up to 500 milligrams once per day. That's typically how you'll find it. And then you can gradually increase to 500 milligrams twice a day. That's how much I'm personally taking. I don't like using it first thing in the morning. I find that sometimes I use Bacopa, I feel a little bit tired, a little bit lazy, and I also don't like taking it too close to bed, as when I ingest Bacopa monnieri, I feel slightly stimulated just for a short period of time. Although a lot of users of Bacopa don't necessarily feel that. It's going to be highly variable between different people. I'm somebody that's pretty sensitive to it, though you may not be. And the way you'll likely see benefits is after using it for about a week straight. So if you're going to use Bacopa monnieri, specifically around cognition and improving intelligence, you may want to consider using it every single day. And it doesn't matter whether you take it in a fasted state or a fed state, and I would consider taking time off after about a couple of months of use. And the number one reason why people wouldn't use Bacopa monnieri is, like I mentioned, it kind of makes you a bit lazy, a little bit demotivated, you feel somewhat relaxed, and that's actually something you'll find consistent through a lot of supplements out there that may improve cognition. And so although you may be feeling smarter, you may be demotivated at the same time. Second supplement is l-theanine. There's a whole lot of research showing that this supplement can actually do things that other supplements can't, in the way that it can help you adjust your thinking. Actually, what it does in the brainwaves is it makes you calmer and makes you in a state where you're more likely to learn. So something I do like about it is that it really goes well along with caffeine. Caffeine often gives you the energy boost, but it gives you jitters, and it actually affects your thinking in a negative way. So l-theanine can somewhat help to offset that. And l-theanine is naturally occurring, similar to how Bacopa monnieri is, meaning it's not man-made, and it's actually found in green tea as well as other teas. So this is an amino acid, and that's nice to know, knowing that you're consuming something that you could actually find in food or find in teas and actually get some sort of cognitive benefit. It's just that you'd have to drink 7 to 8 cups of green tea in order for you to get a good supplement size serving of what you would get with l-theanine, whereas the supplement is usually going to be in 100 milligram capsules. And this supplement has like acute benefits, meaning you ingest it, you can feel it working for the next few hours. It's not necessarily a supplement that you would take in the morning, notice it working later off at night, or a supplement that you would take every single day and notice any sort of like gradual impact happening or gradual benefit. It's more as if you would use 100 to 200 milligrams of l-theanine if you're looking for that specific benefit, feeling calmer, relieving anxiety, and making sure you're in a productive state. And l-theanine goes well in a fasted as well as a fed state. I personally notice it more in a fasted state. If there's anything I don't like about it, is that it is very inconsistent. So sometimes I ingest l-theanine, I feel great, and sometimes I'll ingest l-theanine, I'll feel a bit sluggish, I'll feel a bit of brain fog, and so I personally don't like that, and it's not a supplement I use very often, though there are many studies suggesting that it really helps across different areas of cognition. Third supplement is lion's mane mushroom. If I had a personal favorite, it would be this one, because in every way I think about lion's mane, I think I'm smarter, I think I'm more efficient, I think I'm more curious about things, I think I'm more inquisitive. I notice that when I'm interacting with people, when I'm using lion's mane, I have better interactions, I have more interest in them, and so I like that when I use lion's mane, I generally am more inquisitive about things, I'm not as bored. It's like giving a lot more color to my everyday experience. Unfortunately, we don't have a lot of research just backing how effective this supplement is just yet, though it is by far the most popular mushroom supplement. So specifically how you'll feel is you're in a better mood, again, more curious about things, about situations and people, and what so is it does come about a bit of demotivation as a side effect, similar to Bacopa monnieri, which is why some individuals don't use lion's mane. Although most users don't experience that specific side effect, understand it's not a stimulating supplement, it's very subtle in the way it works, so you have to be pretty like sensitive to your state to actually notice whether or not it's working. But the way I use lion's mane is I take 5 500 milligrams twice a day, and that's a pretty common serving size, just getting like 1 gram, even spread throughout the day, 2 to 3 times a day. Or some individuals can get away with just taking 3 to 500 milligrams once a day. And my favorite form of lion's mane is the 8-to-1 dual extract from Nootropics Depot. I noticed the benefits a lot more pronounced. The fourth supplement is Pracetam. Pracetam has actually pretty good research backing it, though the research is actually done on elder individuals or individuals that have some sort of cognitive impairment. But I'm somebody that has actually used Pracetam for quite a few years. I notice I'm more motivated, I have more energy, I can think a little bit more clear, and I'm less likely to get brain fog. So that allows me to be able to have like an extra 2 to 3 hours of work done every single day. So it's not super effective, but you definitely notice that your recall's better, your memory's better. I initially started using Pracetam when I was in school, and I noticed I was able to learn things a lot faster. Although Pracetam is probably the most subtle supplement of this whole list, meaning you'll likely not notice it doing anything. And at the same time, that also means it's less likely to cause side effects. Because if there's something I've learned with supplementation, often the stronger the benefits are, the stronger the side effects. So I personally not experienced any negative side effects with Pracetam, but some individuals experience headache, maybe a worse mood, that's pretty common, or a lack of energy. But the way you would actually use Pracetam is very different than the other supplements in that it would need to be accompanied with a form of choline. Choline being a really important nutrient for the brain. You can actually ingest it through having egg yolks, but also choline bitartrate, CDP choline, and alpha GPC. So a way in which you could use Pracetam is by taking 1 gram twice a day, and with each of those servings, you would be having 100 milligrams of alpha GPC. And not only with the supplement does it increase cognition, I also like the fact that it makes you more likely to execute, because it's like the boost in cognition is as well accompanied with the boost of motivation. And the fifth supplement is alpha GPC. This is actually a form of choline, like I talked about when I was mentioning Pracetam. And what alpha GPC does is it's a nutrient for the brain that allows you to have better thinking, planning, learning skills, more cognitive energy. I like to think of alpha GPC kind of to be like batteries, and that you just need more alpha GPC as you go about the day, because situations happen, work comes about, and we get mentally taxed. And then what happens is at the end of the day, we're not often as sharp as we are at the beginning of the day, because mentally taxing things take place. We get fatigued, we lack concentration. And so I actually noticed that when I ingest alpha GPC throughout the day, I feel just as sharp towards the end of the day as I am at the beginning of the day. And there's a lot of research that supports this. There's even research supporting it can help with motivation levels. So I really enjoy it. I use 150 milligrams 2 to 3 times a day, though the serving size with alpha GPC, it's actually hit or miss for a lot of people. You seem to need to find like your sweet spot, and I'm fortunate to not experience any side effects with alpha GPC, though a lot of users actually notice side effects being headaches or a worse mood. So the good news is that if you experience any of those side effects, you should experience them within the first week of using alpha GPC, and then you could rather use another form of choline like CDP choline. The sixth supplement is actually fish oil. Fish oil has high concentrations of DHA and EPA, which are 2 really good nutrients for brain health, and they have neuroprotective properties. They're actually really good not only for your brain, but also for your heart. It's been said for normal brain development and functioning of the brain, it's absolutely vital to get your omega-3s in, and this is the easiest way through doing that, through using fish oil supplementation. And one of the best things about fish oil is its ability to improve your mood. So they've actually looked at fish oil with individuals that were depressed, individuals that were likely to inflict self-harm, and fish oil actually had a noticeable benefit with those individuals and making them in a better mood. You may see articles say you need to be taking fish oil for a few weeks to notice the benefits. I've been taking it for years. I probably don't notice the benefits, but if anything, I notice that I'm a little bit more stable with my mood throughout the day, and also that I have better cardio. I feel like my joints are a little bit stronger, so I'm pro fish oil, and I use 1 teaspoon every single day. The only side effects I personally experienced are nosebleeds when I consume too much fish oil, but other side effects include brain fog, and they include low energy levels. And if that is the case, then I would strongly advise you to have your fish oil along with a meal. The next supplement is l-theanine, being one of my favorites. I've talked more about it in this video here, as it increases motivation, productivity, levels of concentration. I ingest 500 to 750 milligrams, and I actually notice it working for a couple of hours. So for me, I personally don't notice it makes me feel any smarter or make me think any different. For me, it just gives me the energy and the concentration levels for me to execute. But there's plenty of research showing that it does improve different areas of cognition, and the way it could be doing that is by improving levels of dopamine in in the brain. And that makes sense because if your dopamine levels are low, you probably wouldn't be able to function anywhere close to optimally. So maybe fixing that would help individuals be more productive and help them with their thinking and their cognitive skills. And this is a supplement you'll find across different pre-workout drinks, across different energy drinks, because it does provide that level of focus that you'd want from a supplement. And it's interesting in that it can do that given that it's an amino acid. It's actually found in chicken breast, it's found in egg whites, but the reason you'd want to take it in supplemental form is because when you take it exclusive of other amino acids, that's really when you notice it doing its magic. So the best way to take L-tyrosine is ideally in a fasted state or 2 hours after your last meal. Like I notice personally, the more stressed I am, the more I notice L-tyrosine working. I also really enjoy a pre-workout because it goes along well with caffeine. Actually, it makes my caffeine feel even stronger, so I don't need to take too much caffeine, which is great and helps with fat loss and helps with aerobic conditioning as well as weightlifting. And there's plenty of studies just showing how effective it is when it comes to stress, not only mental stress, but they've actually taken individuals that were dehydrated or individuals that were in temperatures that were colder than what they were typically accustomed to, and those individuals were cognitively not as impaired. Some individuals can get away with just taking 500 milligrams per day like myself, but some individuals take 2 to 3 grams per day. So it's really going to depend on what you're looking to accomplish through using this supplement. If it's for pre-workout use, then 1 gram is considered a decent serving, and if you're using it for the cognitive boost to help you be more productive for a couple of hours, then you can consider a serving size like 500 milligrams to 750 milligrams per day. It's pretty effective. There are some side effects. For me, I feel slightly anxious. Headaches are somewhat common, and if that is the case, you may actually be able to solve that problem by using L-tyrosine from a different source. That seemed to help with me as well. When I started using capsules instead of using the powder form, I personally felt a lot better. The next supplement is green tea, and yes, we've talked about l-theanine, but there's actually benefits of green tea exclusive of l-theanine, given that it helps with weight loss, helps with potentially with diabetes. It's also anti-cancerous and it's an anti-inflammatory, and it helps individuals to potentially live longer through the mechanism of action. So I personally drink a couple of green teas every single day. I like them before bed. It seems to fight off my appetite, and that helps me to better manage my weight. Although, like I mentioned, you need to drink quite a bit of green tea in order for you to get the l-theanine benefit. It still does have the highest levels of l-theanine concentration when compared to the majority of other teas out there you would usually be drinking. The leaves of green tea are a source of polyphenols, which are good for any sort of memory loss that would be related to aging, and it's also a very strong antioxidant. And one way you can consider having your green tea is through a green tea extract, which is typically going to be found in capsules. And there was actually a study done in 2014 where individuals took the extract, and when they compared this group with the placebo group, the individuals actually had improvements across working memory, brain connectivity, and how different areas of the brain work. The brain function was being measured by an MRI, and it just looked like the individuals that consume green tea, their brains seemed to be more active. The next supplement is caffeine, and caffeine does have a lot of benefits, just illustrating how effective it is at boosting cognition and helping individuals be more intelligent. I really like the study over here because what they did is that they looked at a group of coffee drinkers and they compared them with the group that were non-coffee drinkers, and they could clearly see that the individuals that regularly ingested coffee had some improvements across emotionality, alertness, and readiness to action, though something is to be said about the level of anxiety which is accompanied with caffeine. We know that it often helps individuals become more productive, but also makes them slightly anxious, and some individuals obviously feel very anxious when they ingest caffeine. And so this study did actually show that the levels of stress in the individuals that were drinking coffee were significantly higher than the group that were not drinking coffee. But caffeine has several constituents that are responsible for exactly what it does in the brain and the body. Research shows that it can help to improve memory, it can help to improve mood, and actually also help with symptoms of depression. And although there's a lot of discussion around the negativity of caffeine and its addiction potential, we've yet to find any study just showing that it can potentially worsen our memory or worsen our cognition. Everything points to it pretty much being more effective for cognition. There was one study showing that it can actually somewhat restrict the growth in our hippocampus, although that was only one study, so don't be alarmed, but I've talked about some of the alternatives to caffeine in this video over here. And the next supplement that may in fact increase intelligence is creatine, which you can find in specific meats, but most commonly in supplemental form. Serving sizes are typically 3 to 5 grams per day of creatine monohydrate, and how it can help is with cognitive function, with levels of energy, with helping to fight off fatigue. So I'm personally somebody that doesn't really notice any sort of cognitive benefit when I ingest creatine, but this is a great study, the effects of creatine supplementation on cognitive function of healthy individuals. And they went ahead and took a look at 6 different studies to draw any potential conclusions, and what they could determine was that there were improvements across memory and specific intelligent tasks, although there weren't improvements across attention, response inhibition, verbal fluency, efficiency and reaction time. And what I notice, if anything, if I ingest creatine is more energy, so that's why I'm personally using it. But I also notice I don't seem to need as much sleep. Like usually if I'm sleep deprived, it really affects my cognition. Although if I'm regularly ingesting creatine, I notice that if I don't get my usual 7 hours of sleep, it seems that with the help of creatine, I don't feel that much different. And so I'm happy about that. What I dislike is that I really need to personally drink more water when I'm ingesting creatine. So that's something to watch out for. If you are ingesting creatine, you need to be hydrated. But something great about creatine, it's naturally occurring. It's been around for years. The side effects really aren't too bad for most people. Some individuals don't like the weight gain or the puffiness that they'll get specifically in their face. But most individuals are feeling better with creatine than without. And then there are some individuals that actually don't respond to creatine, surprisingly enough. Which of this list of 10 is your personal favorite? I'd love to know in the comment section below. Do subscribe, drop a like if you found the video informative. And if you want to chat with me one-on-one, you could message me on Patreon. And be sure to visit our Discord server. We have a 24/7 chat room and we're answering questions in a time-sensitive fashion. I thank you for your support and look forward to seeing you next time.